So let me start by saying that an AI business analyst is not equivalent to a business analyst with just the prompt engineering skills or GenAI skills. It is much more than that.
So how is AI currently being used in business analysis? Can you share some real world examples? So what are some misconceptions about AI in business analysis?
One is where business analysts start thinking AI is going to completely make them obsolete.
So how do you see AI transforming the role of business analyst in next 5 to 10 years?
It's very difficult to predict what is going to happen in 5 to 10 years because the rate at which AI is changing, we don't know even what is going to happen next year. But one thing is definitely going to happen is that AI is going to impact every industry and every profession, including business analysts.
So what are the new opportunities AI creates for business analysts?
They have been able to bring this drug to phase 2A trial in just 3 years, whereas a normal route would take 6 to 7 years. And the cost here is just a few $1 million instead of getting into the billions.
So what skills should business analysts develop to stay relevant in AI-driven world? So how important is data literacy for a business analyst working with AI?
Let's say you are a business analyst and you're completely new to AI. Then what I can suggest is...
So how can business analysts ensure ethical AI implementation in the organization?
So my single advice to everyone is that don't get into FOMO trap. It doesn't work. It basically is going to lead to more anxiety and more problems. What I have always believed is that business analysts have been stereotyped in the IT industry.
So what is the most underrated skills for an AI business analyst?
If I have to summarize that in one sentence, I'll say AI is going to redefine the potential of business analysts.
Hello and welcome to another episode of FutureForward, a podcast series by Techcanvass on artificial intelligence, business analysis and data analytics. I'm your host Brijesh Yadav, and today we have a very special episode lined up for you. In this episode, we are going to discuss about AI in business analysis, the future of business analysis with AI, the essential skills for business analyst in the AI era, and the challenges and ethical consideration. Joining is someone who truly needs no introduction, Mr. Abhishek Srivastava, the founder of Techcanvass. He has decades of experience in IT, business consulting, and now shaping the future of tech education. Welcome, Abhishek, sir. It's a privilege to have you here.
Thank you, Brijesh. And to tell you the truth, first time I'm sitting on the other side, and it's a very different feeling. So I have been grilling guests so far. Now this is the first time I'm being grilled. So thanks for having me here.
Yeah, so can you tell our viewers about your professional career?
Yeah, sure. So I started my career as a programmer almost 3 decades ago. And that time I used to have Unix, C and Oracle development platform where I used to write codes. After working for around 3 to 4 years, I got the opportunity to work directly with a client. And where my role was to talk to the client, understand what do they need in terms of problems they are facing, in terms of changes which they want. And then I used to go back and work with the development team to get it implemented. And that is something which I really liked. And that's how my career as a business analyst started. Though at that point in time, there was nothing called, no designation as business analyst in the IT industry. Then I moved on to more leadership positions and where I managed deliveries across geographies. And also, I helped an organization set up Microsoft practice. That was my working kind of career. Then in 2009, I started as an entrepreneur. And my initial 2 ventures didn't work out the way I would have liked them to. But that was a big learning for me. And then we started Techcanvass in the current format. And you, me, and the entire Techcanvass team, we are trying to build Techcanvass as a good company.
That's quite a journey. From programming to leadership to entrepreneurship. Really inspiring. So what got you interested in AI then?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. I think sometime in March 2023, I was supposed to speak at an event. And because of my hectic schedule at that point in time, I didn't get any time to work on the presentation. So typically when you are speaking at an event, you need to work on the structure of the presentation, look at the flow of the presentation, and also put it into a nice looking presentation. And then practice a bit. But I knew that now I don't have time to do all of that. So I decided to use ChatGPT. Okay. ChatGPT was very new at that point in time. I think it was released in November only, November 2022. So I had never used it. So I struggled a bit in the beginning, but somehow I managed to get the outline of the presentation. Okay. So with few attempts, I got the outline of the presentation, which I then used and put it into a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. And that's how the thing which typically I take, for me, it takes 2-3 days to create a presentation. Okay. But I was able to do it in just a few hours. And that's what really surprised me, because then using AI, I could save a lot of time. That's what got me interested into AI. And since then, I've been really exploring AI, working on various aspects of AI, and even teaching AI business analysis.
Wow, that's such a relatable example. So what excites you the most about AI?
Yeah, so I would say that most exciting thing about AI is that AI it's democratizes productivity, meaning a top performer, right? And the difference between a top performer and an average performer is no longer so daunting and big. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that, let's say for example, I was talking about creating a presentation. Okay. So creating a presentation has two distinct parts. One is that the content of the structure, content of the presentation, and the visual side of the presentation, right? Majority of us are good at one of these. Okay, so are basically average performers. The top performer is someone who is good at both, right? Now let's say a person like me who is an average performer who can build the structure but can't visualize it well. But now we're using AI tool, I can do the same. So I actually can be as good as a top performer. How? By leveraging AI. And that is why I call AI actually democratizes productivity. There is no gap between now, the top performer and the average performer. And that is the most exciting thing about AI.
That really puts the things into perspective. All right, so now let's shift our gears and talk about the core of today's topic. That's AI and business analysis. So how would you define AI-driven business analysis or an AI business analyst in simple terms?
Yeah, okay. So let me start by saying that an AI business analyst is not equivalent to a business analyst with just the prompt engineering skills or GenAI skills. It is much more than that. So an AI business analyst for me is somebody who is good at business knowledge, who has analytical skills, and who also understands AI with its strengths and limitations. So if you look at how does it look functionally in terms of AI business analysts, so there are two parts to it. One part is where an AI business analyst will have the ability to leverage AI to perform day-to-day activities, the business analysis related activities, so that they can become more productive and efficient. The second part would be even more important, where an AI business analyst will work closely with the client and say, okay, let me identify the opportunities where AI can solve your business problems. And then if you are starting that kind of a project, I can capture the requirements and also ensure that whatever solution is developed ultimately will be able to deliver you the value which you wanted to in the first place. Which means an AI business analyst will not only be having the capability to leverage AI, but also work with the client to deliver solutions which are meaningful. That's to me is really an AI business analyst.
Yeah, and that's a very clear practical breakdown. Right, it's not about understanding the tool, right? It's all about using the tool and using the tool for your business benefits.
Correct.
Great. All right, so how is AI currently being used in business analysis now? Can you share some real world examples?
Yeah, sure. So business analysis can use AI in multiple things. Okay. So let's say, for example, as a business analyst, what exactly a business analyst does primarily in the industry. So they talk to the stakeholders, they capture requirements, they analyze it, they write user stories, they create process models, they do prototyping, and even create SRS and BRD documents. So if you're using AI as a business analyst, you can do all of these things. But having said that, there is a caveat, is that all of these activities, even though AI can help, but none of these activities can be fully automated by AI. What do I mean to say is that AI cannot write an SRS document on its own, right? You need to provide it the right input. That is the first thing. Secondly, you need to review the output so that because it is not going to be 100% accurate all the time, right? So as a business analyst, you need to review it as well, right? So when you are saying what activities can be done by AI in business analysis, all these activities which I mentioned earlier, AI can contribute a lot there. Now, to give you examples, let's start with a company in US called Humana. So Humana is a healthcare insurance company. So they are using AI to analyze how the customer is giving the feedbacks. So if the customer is calling the call centers, they have all the recordings. So they use the AI to analyze the customer emails, feedbacks, the customer call center recordings, as well as whatever customers are saying on the internet, social media signals and all. And they use AI to analyze all of this for understanding quickly what are the pain points, what is the problem which the customer is facing, so that they can quickly address it. So that is where Humana is using AI. Okay, so this is something typically which is also done by business analysts, to look into areas of problems and figure out why it is happening, the root cause analysis. And that's how business analysts solve the problem. So Humana is using that to get to the root causes quickly using AI. The second example is a software company. It's called Avanade. Okay, so this company, what they do is they're working with multiple clients. Okay, so what they do is they use AI to analyze the requirements and look at all change requests which are coming in, and they use AI to categorize the requirements into functional, non-functional requirements, and also to see if there is a relationship between these two, so that they can create the traceability matrix by using AI. So these are a couple of examples. There are many other examples, but I think let me stop here.
Yeah, that's right. Human oversight is still remains critical, even with the powerful tools like WhatsApp. So, what are some misconceptions about AI in business analysis?
So I'll point out a couple of them. One is where business analysts start thinking or are thinking that AI is going to completely make them obsolete. Okay, meaning with AI, the companies don't no longer need business analysts, but that is completely untrue. So if you look at business analysis, there are two parts to it. One is where they work with the stakeholders to capture requirements, to document it, to analyze it. The other side of it is dealing itself with the stakeholders. So that requires certain skills which are called soft skills. So the first part of it, which is documentation, analysis, these things, these areas are definitely where AI is going to help them. But as we have been discussing earlier also, that even these areas where AI can help still requires the review or the human oversight, right? So it cannot do it on its own. So part one also requires intervention of the business analyst. And part two, which is soft skills, dealing with stakeholders, obviously cannot be done without the business analyst. So looking at this, it's very difficult for AI to replace business analyst. Okay, so that is one misconception. Second one is diametrically opposite, meaning there are many people who believe that the AI generated content is useless, is of no use. So I'll not use AI at all. What I'll do everything on my own. Now that is also completely wrong approach to take. Now, no matter what we do, AI is going to ultimately be there. It is going to impact everyone. So you can't shrug it off. You can't say that, no, it's not for me. I can live my professional life without AI. That is not going to happen at all, right? So you have to get or you have to use AIs in some way or the other. So instead of completely discarding it, is the best approach would be to understand how can I use AI for my benefit, right? So both these misconceptions are actually unfounded and not true.
Yeah, that's true. It's not about replacing people. It's all about empowering them. Wait. Let's look ahead now. The pace at which AI is evolving makes the future both exciting and uncertain. So how do you see AI transforming the role of business analyst in next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So 5 to 10 years is a pretty long period. It's very difficult to predict what is going to happen in 5 to 10 years because the rate at which AI is changing, we don't know even what is going to happen next year. But one thing is definitely going to happen is that AI is going to impact every industry and every profession, including business analysts or business analysis. So if you look at AI, a business analyst role, they're basically individual contributors in the organizations. Okay, most of them, a few of business analysts also manage teams. But barring those exceptions, most of the business analysts are individual contributors. Okay, which means they do the documentation themselves, they write the user stories themselves. Now with the advent of AI, what I see happening is that business analysts will start using AI, okay, to delegate some of the tasks which they do it themselves to AI, take help from AI to complete those tasks, and then review them so that it can be of use. Which means what is most likely going to happen in next few years is a business analyst will transform from being an individual contributor to a smart delegator. That's something which is definitely going to happen.
Right, of course. Smart delegator. Correct. Of course. I mean, this business analyst will be very familiar with this term very soon.
Correct.
So what are the new opportunities this AI creates for business analyst?
Yeah. So actually, AI can generate multiple opportunities for business analysts. One is I was talking about, which is being a smart delegator. So what it will do is that it will allow more time to the business analyst to move up the value chain. So for example, if I am getting involved 100% into documentation and writing requirements, what I can do by delegating is that I can free up some time and get into problem solving, finding better solutions for the client. And my role from being just a business analyst as an individual contributor, I can become more like a consultant or more like a strategic advisor to the client. So that is one definite opportunity which is there for the business analyst. The second one could be AI business analyst, which already this podcast is all about AI business analyst. So I'll not talk more about it. But that is another a role which is going to come up, which is already starting to shape up. The third, I think, would be more in terms of dealing with the ethics and the responsible AI in the new age. So what I mean by that is all the AI initiatives have to be ethical and responsible. Okay. Now, business analysts are already working with the client. They're already familiar with the businesses. So they are in a good position to quickly switch over to a role where they can ensure that the AI applications which are being developed are ethical and responsible. So these are the few opportunities which I can definitely see.
Yeah, I like the shift from analyst to strategic advisor. So what industries are leading adoption of AI-driven business analysis?
If I look at some of the data which is available on the internet, a lot of industries are using AI. And the banking and financial services industry, which has always been a leader in adopting technology. So they are leading this race for AI as well. But AI is also being used by pharmaceutical industry, healthcare industry, manufacturing, even logistics. Okay, so it is kind of getting used by a lot of industries. To give you a couple of examples, let me first give you an example of a pharmaceutical company. So if you look at the area of new drug discovery, Okay, so finding a new drug for a disease. It takes close to 10 to 15 years to find a new drug. Okay, and the average cost of finding a new drug is approximately $2.6 billion on an average. Okay, which is a huge number considering that the time it takes and the amount you have to spend. So many pharmaceutical companies are not very keen on discovering new drug. But there is a company called In Silico Medicine, okay, US-based small company, which has developed an AI platform called Pharma.ai. Okay, what it does is it scans through all the chemical compounds and the pre-existing databases of different drugs being used for different diseases. And it scans through that database very quickly and figures out, okay, these are few compounds which can be used as a drug. So In Silico Medicine started to invest into a drug for a lung disease. It's called IPF. It's a chronic lung disease, very painful. So they used Pharma.ai to find some compounds which could be the candidates for a new drug. Okay, so they started with that, and then they started the trials. Currently, the drug is into phase 2 or phase 2A trial in US and China. And they have been able to bring this drug to phase 2A trial in just 3 years, 36 months, whereas a normal route would take 6 to 7 years. And the cost here is just a few $1 million instead of getting into the billions. So that's a massive help which AI is providing in finding a new drug. Of course, it's yet to be seen whether it actually works. Okay, so that time will tell. The second example is back home in India. Here, Mahindra and Mahindra has set up a electric vehicle manufacturing facility in Chakan. Chakan is in Pune. What they have done is, it's a very huge factory, okay, spread over almost a 3-kilometer long area. And what they're doing, they have set up a body shop where they assemble the body of the car. And there they're using 500 plus robots. These robots actually work together and put up the entire body of the car. So that is one part of it. The second part is they also have a quality control center, which is again AI powered, not manned by humans. AI powered, so they use cameras and computer vision to look at the entire assembly process step by step. So whenever there is a problem and there is some issue with the quality, these cameras immediately point it out and send alert to the body shop so that it can be taken care of. So even manufacturing industry is using AI and the robotics. There are many other examples, like Amazon uses completely AI-driven warehouses. Even agriculture industry is using AI. So if you see, slowly more and more industries are understanding there is a lot more to using AI, and they have been trying to implement solutions which can help not only their profits, but also a large number of people in the world.
Yeah, those examples from pharma and auto are just mind-blowing. So what skills should business analysts develop to stay relevant in AI-driven world?
Right. So if you look at the skills of, let's say, AI business analyst, the basic skill will always be like the business analyst skills, right? So whatever a business analyst needs to do in terms of requirements elicitation, creating models, prototyping, problem solving, and so on. These are the core foundational skills for BA. That is absolutely required. Then the business analyst also needs to be aware of AI platforms and AI tools. Platforms like GenAI, Gemini, and so on. And also AI tools, which can create certain artifacts or which can help in analyzing data. The next thing would be data literacy, right? Because AI needs data. So if you're working on an AI initiative, you must be aware of how the data is going to be sourced and so on. Finally, ethical and responsible awareness, because these are very, very important aspects of any AI initiative. So as a BA, you must be aware of what are the considerations related to ethics and responsible AI. So these are few skill sets which you need to have as an AI business analyst.
Such a well-rounded view. Technical awareness, ethical grounding, and core business BA strengths. Perfect mix. All right. So, how important is data literacy for a business analyst working with AI?
Yeah, so data literacy is very important. AI is fueled by data, especially if they are working on AI systems, because AI systems are driven by data. So the models, AI models, need data to be trained, to be validated, right? So it's important for business analysts to understand where is the data being sourced, okay? What kind of data quality is being used, okay? So they can work with data engineers to ensure that the quality of the data is good. They also need to be aware of the privacy and security issues so that the AI systems are fair and not biased. So these are some of the things. In addition to having the SQL knowledge, these are the other things which they need to be aware of.
Yeah, very well said. Should business analysts learn programming or AI specific tools?
Programming is not required. I don't think programming is at all important for business analysts to learn. That's the simple answer.
Oh, that's good to know. No coding required. Okay, great. So, what certifications or courses would you recommend for business analysts? Who are interested in AI?
So I was talking about the skills of AI business analysts. So obviously, if you want to become an AI business analyst, you need to learn all those skills. Okay. But if you are completely new, let's say you are a business analyst and you're completely new to AI, then what I can suggest is you go to Coursera or edX, okay, and do some basic courses there. So there's one instructor called Andrew Ng. He's a very popular one and a master instructor. His courses are excellent. So you can start with the AI basics course, even machine learning basics course and GenAI basics course. Once you are okay with the basics of these things, then you can do a course which can train you on all the skills of AI business analysis. So I'll say that all the 5 skills which I talked about earlier are important, and you need to find a course which can cover all these. So Techcanvass does offer a course which covers all these skills.
Yeah, that's a very helpful guidance. Starting from small, then going deeper. So now let's touch upon the something that is very, very important. Challenges in ethics. So what are the biggest challenges integrating AI into business analysis?
Okay, so I will talk about the challenges which business analysts are facing in the organizations, because that is something which I've been listening to business analysts, because I teach business analysis and AI course. Okay, so what they are telling me and what I have kind of observed is that many organizations are not allowing the GenAI platforms to be used inside the organization, whether it's in a company-owned laptops or inside the premises. And that becomes a constraint, because then a business analyst can't use GenAI, then they can't perform some of the activities which we have talked about earlier. But why organizations are not allowing these platforms? There is a reason for it. The reason being that, let's say I'm a business analyst and I'm working on a project. So I am going to get access to the data of my client, right? The requirements, the processes. Now, GenAI platforms are currently all cloud-based. Okay. So if I use GenAI platforms, I have to share that client's data on the platform. And that is something which people are very skeptical about, because nobody is for sure understands whether this data is going to remain private or it can be used for some other purposes. And that is one of the biggest constraints which is preventing organizations to allow GenAI platforms to be used by business analysts. So this has become kind of a challenge in itself for any business analyst to be able to use AI and to perform better.
Yeah, very relevant, especially about tool access and data privacy. So how can business analysts ensure ethical AI implementation in the organization?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you see, business analyst role is to talk to the client and to understand what is the requirement and what is the problem they are facing. So they ask questions, right? So they can use the same skill to ensure that there is fairness in the AI systems which is being developed. So there could be 2-3 things which business analysts can look at. One is that the systems are fair. Second, the systems are free of biases. And also the data which is being used is accurate and authentic. So let's talk about the fairness. Okay. So let's say there is a bank which is developing a loan disbursement application. Okay. So a business analyst can have this question in the beginning, in the initial stage itself, saying that how can we ensure that there is no discrimination in this system for a particular income group or a particular income group locality. By raising this question, what business analysts can do is that they bring this question into focus, right? So people become aware of it, and also they can take steps to ensure that there is no such kind of a discrimination. So by asking these probing questions, they can ensure that systems are fair, and also the similar pattern can be done for bias, meaning they can ask questions to ensure that there's no racial or gender or socioeconomic bias in the systems. So that is as far as fairness and bias is concerned. So asking question becomes very important, and that is how they can ensure. The other part of it is the data, right? So data, as we have been talking about, data is very important for AI systems. Okay. So let's say a company is developing a system which is going to diagnose patients based on the symptoms and some other parameters, right? Now, it's a very sensitive issue, right? If a patient is diagnosed wrongly, it can have psychological as well as financial impact on the patient as well as on the relatives, right? It's a pretty touchy subject. So when we are developing a system like that, it's very important that business analyst ensures that the data which is being used is authentic, is coming from sources which are reliable, right? You cannot have a system which just takes data from the internet and tries to diagnose patients. That is not going to work. So recently, just to tell you on that, recently Microsoft has announced that they have developed a new system which can diagnose patients better than the human doctors. Now, what they are doing, they're using case studies from, I think, New England Journal of Medicine, more than 300 case studies. Okay. And they validated against those case studies the outcome of the new diagnosis system. Okay. Which is a pretty impressive result if that is true. Okay. So obviously in that case also, somebody has definitely ensured that the data which is being used by this system is very, very reliable. So using these kind of questions and whatever precautions they can take during the elicitation meetings, they can ensure that the system which are going to be AI based are ethical and responsible.
That's powerful. Ethical requirements should be real as technical ones. Yeah, thanks for making this so tangible. All right, so now we are nearly at the end of this episode. So, but before we wrap up, a couple of quick questions. What advice would you give to aspiring business analysts looking to specialize in artificial intelligence?
The real problem nowadays is that social media is like they just hype everything. Okay, something new comes up and it's all hyped around. Wherever you go, you see the same thing. Okay, so all of us are prone to having the FOMO trap, fear of missing out. Okay, so whenever we see new things, we tend to think that this is very important and we must learn it. Okay, but that is not something which I would advise. So my single advice to everyone is that don't get into FOMO trap. It doesn't work. It's basically is going to lead to more anxiety and more problems, or even psychological problems. So my advice would be, if you're a business analyst and you want to get into the next step of your career, let's say you want to become an AI business analyst. We have already talked about what AI business analyst needs to learn, right? So what you need to do, you need to create a path, a learning path where you can say, okay, right now, these are the things which I know. And the gap between what an AI business analyst needs and my current skills is this much. Okay. Now, how do I acquire it? So I create a plan. And over the period of whatever months or years, whatever it takes, you make a systematic plan to acquire that skills rather than trying to learn everything which you see around on social media. Okay. Don't get into the trap. Plan your moves carefully, because remember, learning is going to be lifelong now. You can't learn for 6 months and say, okay, now I'll be resting and I'll work for next 25 years. That is not going to happen. You have to learn every month, every quarter, something new. So plan it well. There's no hurry.
Yeah, brilliant advice. So don't run behind the hype, right? So do your own research and move confidently in this. Great. So if you had to summarize the future of AI in business analysis in one sentence, what would be that?
One sentence is a little difficult, but I'll try. So what I have always believed is that business analysts have been stereotyped in the IT industry. So what they are asked to do is certain things, and they are bound by that boundary. So for example, a business analyst is typically seen to be doing requirements gathering, documenting the requirements, analyzing the requirements, creating process diagrams, right? But business analysis is much more than that. It's not just about what I just mentioned. So in the current status, business analysts have been stereotyped. Now, with the advent of AI, what business analysts can do, which I talked about earlier, is that they can start delegating tasks, right? That means they will have the time to truly live up to the potential which they need to have. So if I have to summarize that in one sentence, I'll say AI is going to redefine the potential of business analysts. That's how I will kind of put it in one sentence.
Couldn't have said better, actually. All right. And now let's close with a quick rapid fire round. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
If you had to choose, what is more important for BA's future success? Mastering AI tools or human-centric skills like negotiations or stakeholder management?
Yeah, I always believe in soft skills. So human-centric skills are always going to be more important than the knowledge of any kind of tools or techniques. Leave aside the AI tools. Because tools and techniques keep on coming and evolving, right? So today we have something, tomorrow we'll have better tools, right? But the soft skills are going to be always there. If you're dealing with people, soft skills are the most important ones. So I would always say that human-centric skills are always very important.
Perfect. Great. Relationship and context are always, they always matter. What is the biggest barrier to AI adoption for BAs now? Whether it is skills or trust?
It's lack of trust. Lack of trust comes from aspects saying that, can I trust AI to produce outputs which are 100% reliable? Okay. So the answer is no. So that leads to lack of trust. And also whether we can completely trust AI to keep our data private to us. So that's the biggest barrier for enterprises to adopt AI. So that is how lack of trust becomes, for me, the most important problem.
Yeah, that's right, actually. Trust can be the biggest hurdle for them. All right. So what is the most underrated skills for an AI business analyst?
It is actually not only for AI business analysts, even for business analysts. The most underrated skill is the ability to ask the right questions, or ability to ask the questions which can tell them what's the problem. Because when you talk to a client, generally they tell you the symptoms. Just like when you go to a doctor, we tell them that, okay, I have headache, right? But headache is not the disease. Headache is a symptom, right? It could happen for multiple reasons, right? So as a doctor, what they do, they diagnose you, ask you questions to understand what could have caused this headache, right? Similarly, a business analyst is like a doctor. When you're talking to a client, you need to understand what is the problem which is causing this symptom, right? So this is to me the most underrated skill for every business analyst.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, asking the right question is very, very crucial. Right. So for BAs, what is the single biggest difference between using generative AI versus traditional AI?
I would say that generative AI, because of its reach and access for everyone, is far more superior and going to have much better impact on the humankind as a whole, right? So, Gen AI can be used by anyone. If I know English, I can ask questions and Gen AI will give me answer. But a traditional AI is limited to people with specialized skills, generally the tech skills. So that can only be used by specialized professionals who understand it and then they can implement it. But Gen AI can be used by anyone. And that to me is the biggest difference.
Yeah, that's well explained. So in one word, what is the biggest ethical risk in AI for business today?
It is bias. Okay, because bias is basically a pretty serious problem with the AI systems. So what it can do, it can create outcomes or produce outcomes which are discriminatory in nature. For example, there have been cases where some research papers, they have tried to figure out certain diseases, their diagnosis systems. Some using some symptoms, they try to predict a disease. Okay, and most of the times, these systems were not able to produce the correct disease for female patients, but they were able to do it correctly for the male patients. Why? Because there is a bias or there is a problem in the data on which this particular system has been trained, right? So if your data does not have the symptoms for females available, right, which means the diagnosis of females will be wrong. Okay, so this is an example of bias. So bias can be, as I told earlier also, bias could be related to gender, also for race, and social economic factors like income groups and so on. So this is the most problematic thing for AI systems as of now.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, bias is invisible but very powerful. Thank you so much, Abhishek sir, for this insightful discussion. I'm sure our listeners will walk away with a much clearer view on how AI is shaping the future of business analysis. To our audience, thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for the next episode where we'll explore more real world intersections of AI and business analysis. Until then, keep learning and stay curious.